That was a different music bed for the intro for the live shows. I just thought I'd check it out. I have terminal dissatisfaction with the choices I make in that department, and it's kind of a problem. What was I going to say? So, yeah, that's a new piece of music. The creator of that bit of, let me get to my live page here. The creator of that bit is a guy named, oh God, Magic Solo. That is the name of that artist. Anyway, so we get some nice viewership here on Substack and also on YouTube. This is good. All right. Anyway, so good afternoon. I was already live on Substack earlier this morning, but before or after I did that, I was on my way to go have lunch with my college mate, Gary Gulman. Hopefully you guys know who Gary Gulman is. Gary Gulman is a stand-up comic, a brilliant stand-up comic. He's got two specials that are available on HBO Max. The first one is called The Great Depression. And the second one from a couple of years ago was called Born on Third Base. And he's also author of a very funny and touching memoir called Misfit. And he's currently working with a show that he did. His latest sort of special, I guess you might call it, is called Grandiloquent, which I saw at the Lucille Lortel here in New York City last year, I think. Yeah. Terrific show. Gary's very funny. And it's not just... it's a lot more going on than just stand-up comedy. Gary's got several more layers happening at play there. Anyway, he's going to be on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to that. We covered a lot today over lunch. Gary and I we're both graduates of Boston College. We were class of 93. We both lived on the upper campus of Boston College freshman year, a mere 2 buildings apart from one another. And I don't know, I got just great memories of him from college. Funny, smart, super tall. Gary went to BC on a football scholarship, and then before the year was over, decided he did not want to be playing football anymore. So it was a challenging moment for him. But Gary's, he's such a great guy. I'm excited to have him on the podcast. We're going to have a fun conversation, and maybe a couple, because Gary has some very smart insights, and I wanted to have a conversation that would not just indulge my own curiosity and interest to have a conversation with him, but also what are we leaving with the listeners and the viewers? We talked today. Among the myriad of things we talked about, I talked about how there were people back in school, a couple, not many. I mean, I like to think I was a reasonably good person, but hardly perfect. And there was a person that both Gary and I knew in college who came up in conversation, and someone I was not terribly kind to, and have not had an opportunity to make amends. I don't think I was. I think I was very clumsy and cavalier in my behavior with this person. And I've always wanted to make an amends. And Gary said, you realize the fact that it still bothers you 35 years later. I'm not losing sleep. It's something occasionally I'll be walking along and then boom, the thought will hit you. Oh, I was really not at my best in that moment. And it was something that happened 35 years ago, So anyway, I love the conversation with Gary. Gary also is not a meat eater. We went to this really terrific vegan Tex-Mex place down on Carmine Street in Greenwich Village. It was really delicious. I want to say it's called Jajaja, Jajaja, and it's amazing. And the great thing about plant-based food, as far as I am concerned, at least in my own experience, is that usually, not always, but makes me feel, it gives me a feeling of being satisfied, and yet I don't feel bloated. I don't feel that like post-Thanksgiving dinner brick in my stomach. Yeah. And that was my experience today. I had a salad. I had a bowl. It was cauliflower rice there was some avocado happening in there, some black beans. There was a sweet potato situation, some onion, and a little hot sauce. It was delicious. It was really good. And then Gary and I started off with an empanada. Not that you need to know any of that, but you should know all of that. And then Gary and I are mutual friends of another super talented, funny person, Dave Hill, with whom I went to high school. So high school with Dave Hill, college with Gary Gulman. And Dave Hill, I ran into him with his dog in the Village. So if you follow Dave Hill or read any of Dave Hill's books or catch any of his comedy, you know what I'm talking about. Very funny, smart. Nothing excites me more than good conversation with very clever people. What can I tell you? What else was on my mind today? Today I'm working on, as we speak, as soon as I'm done with visiting with you nice people on this live on the George Hahn Show, I am back. I'm almost done with the watch of the week. Last week, some of you may recall, if you're following me on Substack, was the Timex, the chronograph. What was it? The Westbury chronograph? Yeah. Beautiful watch. And then the first week, I did the Rolex Explorer, reference number 1016. But the Westbury chronograph, heritage chronograph from Timex, beautiful. I want to do an array of like sort of diver or tool watches, but not just fancy ones. I mean, today's is the Tudor Black Bay 58. I'll just give it away. I'm almost done with the piece, and I love the photos that I've found to go with it. I don't have a Tudor Black Bay 58. I have a Tudor Black Bay, but the 58 was the one that Tudor came out with in 2012 that was a direct throwback to the original Submariner that Rolex and Tudor released in the same year, 1954. And the new one is called the Tudor Black Bay 58 because of the year, because in 1958, they released the same watch essentially, but it had doubled the depth capacity. So instead of 100 meters, you can go 200. And then had a bigger crown on it. But fun fact, and this is all in the piece, I don't want to spoil anything. But Rolex, Hans Wilsdorf, the guy who created Rolex, wanted to create sort of a sister brand for Rolex that had the same exacting quality and craftsmanship standards, but at a more approachable price point. And in 1926, 100 years ago, he created Tudor, which is a Rolex brand, basically. And this is their centennial. And they're extremely well-made watches. The only difference, the reason the Tudor was less expensive primarily, was that the movement inside, the movement that makes the watch tick, literally, was an off-the-shelf third-party component of the watch, whereas Rolex was totally vertical, was all in-house. It's a Rolex. That's a Rolex movement you're getting. Tudors were third-party, but everything else, the case, the bracelets, those are Rolex parts. And that signature oyster case from Rolex that was just like, it's called the oyster case because it's watertight, man. Anyway, so today's piece is going to be about the Tudor Black Bay 58, which if you look at the watch, it's got the sort of faux gilted stuff on the dial and around the dial and the bezel. And it looks like a vintage watch, even though it's not. It's a little gimmicky with the gilting on it, with the sort of gold gilt sort of tone on the markings and the numbers, because it looks, whereas with the original Submariner, that just happened with age. Anyway, beautiful watch, a total throwback, and it put Tudor watches back on the map because now Tudors make their own movements, and I proudly wear mine. I love my Black Bay, and they have master certification, master chronograph or chronometer certification, and their own in-house movements, and it's like a less expensive Rolex, really, I swear. So the Black Bay 58, if you love those, those stainless steel, handsome tool watches, like I do, you will love the Tudor. This is a Tudor Black Bay I'm holding up if you're watching this. The Tudor Black Bay 58 is a little different. This is a 41 millimeter watch that I'm wearing, a regular Black Bay, but the 58 was 39 millimeters, a little bit more sober with the sizing because watches got way too goddamn big. The 39 millimeter case, and it's thinner. It's, God, it's such a handsome watch. I've never tried one on. I think I'm going to go to Tourneau or Boucher or whatever we're supposed to call it and try one on, or down to the Tudor boutique. But there's a Tourneau that's closer to me on 57th Street off Fifth Avenue. I want to try one on and see what it looks like on my wrist. Here's a fun fact that I don't think I wrote about in the piece. If you are in the market for a watch and when you like one, I strongly suggest, if you've got the opportunity to try it on first before buying something online, because everybody's wrist is different. A lot of watches can be too big for your wrist, and you don't want it to be too big. So, always try it on in person before you buy it, especially when it's something expensive. Like a Tudor Black Bay starts now, I think they're around $4,700. The Black Bay 58. So, but they're gorgeous, stunning watches. You'll have it for the rest of your life, and it purrs like a cat, and it keeps fantastic time. What else is on the agenda today? Oh, the Trump, the State of the Union speech. I didn't watch it. I already discussed this online. I did not watch it. I took my life back last night. I've given that guy enough of my time, and I feel so great for not having watched it. I don't feel like I missed anything, and by all accounts, from all reasonable, from the perspectives of all the reasonable people I know who did watch it because it's their job, it was a shit show. But that's to be expected. I don't feel like it's helpful or productive to waste time trying to dissect what his meaning is. Was this a good thing? Everything about this administration and the guy running it is awful. And as I said in my live on Substack this morning, and I will say it again, the only time his name should not be erased from everywhere, the only place where the name Donald Trump should be permanent is in history books, in chapters about where the United States lost its way, in chapters about a very dark time in our history, in chapters about, that in that context, it is worth talking about and discussing what happened and how we got here, and how can we make sure that this never happens again, how this kind of a candidate rises to the Oval Office, and how we prevent that from ever happening again. That's the only time, that's the only place his name should be and never be erased. But, once this regime is over and when he's gone, take that fucking name off of buildings, off the Kennedy Center. Just get it out. Get it out. I cannot wait until we can just get rid of it and start, they want to erase monuments to slavery and LGBTQ rights, and just, make sure mediocre white people feel special again. I can't wait to erase his name and just go over it with a chisel and get rid of that name and just put it in history books where it belongs, so students can learn that this was one of the darkest periods in American history. So that be that. Somebody asked here on YouTube, what are conversations like with Scott Galloway? Conversations with Scott Galloway can run a course. Sometimes Scott's in a quiet mood and they can be quiet. Other times Scott is in a more gregarious mood and, can have an interesting conversation about your parents and stuff. He's a curious, probing guy. He's very smart. Yeah. But the way he is on podcasts, when you get him in when he is in a sort of introspective flow in his conversation on a podcast, I think that's mostly the way he is. Yeah. Yeah. So let's look at some comments here on through Substack here. State of the Pooping Speech. No way was I going to watch him last night, says Anne. Okay. Yeah, it was recycled. By all accounts, Trump's speech was just a disaster. Hour and 47 minutes? Really? Girl. Jai Porter here says, cautionary tale of what not to do and what to look for to prevent future growth. That's why his name should be in history books and nowhere else. Michelle Petrarca says, it kills me when I drive by the Kennedy Center. I don't blame you, girl. It would kill me too. It would kill me too. Terrible. And on a happier note, on my way home from my amazing lunch with my friend Gary Gulman, I stopped by a store, a great shoe store in New York City, Leffot. They're down on Gay Street, and it's run by a man named Stephen Tafal. Am I saying it? I can't remember what his last name is. Very nice, handsome gentleman, very knowledgeable about well-made shoes. Anyway, I went and got some desert boots because I needed them. And Clark's wasn't working for me because Clark's, as much as I love a Clark's desert boot, I like the tan desert boot, but the tan desert boot only goes with so much. And I wanted something in a darker brown suede. And Clark's version of that has it's the same shoe, brown suede, but the sole, the sides of it are basically painted. So when it wears off, it's just exposing the natural rubber underneath, and that's a bummer. So I found this company at Leffot called Asterflex. I got the Green Flex Tuscan Brown suede. And they're desert boots, basically. If you're watching this, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's a desert boot. It's a chukka boot, and it's a rubber crepe sole. That's the word I was looking for, crepe. It's a rubber crepe sole, and I wanted something darker. Desert boots. We all know Clark's desert boots. That's essentially what these are. And so there it is. And it's an Italian company called Asterflex. I'm very excited to wear these. I just, it's a little early in the season. Anyway, that's what I treated myself to when I went downtown. Fran McTamney, thank you. Look at that on the screen. My friend Fran, who has been a supporter for coming up on some years now. Fran, thank you very much for your support, buddy. Very kind of you. Let's see. Jai Porter here says, I didn't know what desert boots were. Okay. Yeah, desert boots have been around for over a century. They're typically, the original ones are like tan, and tan is not, tan's great. And I have a pair in tan or a lighter color, but they don't always work well with a darker denim. Anyway, and I remember years ago, it was like a really hot August day, and I was going out, maybe to walk the dog or something like that. I'm thinking, and I was putting on a lighter pair of jeans and a t-shirt and slipping a pair of desert boots on. And I remember thinking to myself, this all happened in a split second. And after that split second, I had a good laugh at myself. And I thought, oh, these are suede. I mean, is it really like, is this an appropriate shoe for summer? And then I remembered what they're called. They're called desert boots. So yes, they're totally appropriate for summer. In fact, with that rubber crepe sole makes them extra comfortable. I mean, I could walk miles in them. I don't like to wear sneakers unless I'm doing something legitimately athletic. So when I'm out taking my bicycle for a spin, yeah, I'll wear a sneaker. When I am out in the somewhere on Long Island in the summer, or in Cape Cod or Nantucket visiting the Galloway, speaking of Scott Galloway, I like to wear my Jack Purcells, my canvas Jack Purcell sneakers. But unless I'm doing something legitimately athletic, I'm not a fan of athletic footwear. I'm just not. I do have a pair of Adidas Stan Smiths, and those are my shoes and they're vegan leather, by the way. And they're extremely comfortable. They are identical to the original leather Stan Smiths. Adidas just makes a vegan leather version of them that are fantastic. I've had these for a couple of years, the pair I've got now. They're so great. Anyway. And that is it for this episode. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to discuss with all of you, and I don't think that's it. Again, I think we're long past the stage where we need to dissect what Donald Trump says and try to figure out its meaning. All of it is bad. It can all go in the bad bucket. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I got a life to live. We all have lives to live. If you want to make a career out of trying to dissect what he means and try to figure out what was good and what was bad and try to sift through whatever, knock yourself out. And, good luck getting a reader for it, because if anybody tries to come out with a biography of him and sell it, no. The only thing that might be more interesting is as more Epstein files stuff comes out, and if it gets even worse about him. If some of these sort of very rumory allegations and suggestions about him vis-a-vis the Epstein files, if they turn out to be actually true, okay, then maybe there's something worth learning there. But other than that, I'm not interested in reading about this guy. I'm not even interested in hearing about him. I'm interested in ending this time in our country, and also seeing some consequences for him and his criminal behavior. That would be great. That would be great. It would be really great if the checks and balances started checking and balancing. And I love what the Supreme Court did with the tariffs. You got a pop in the nose because he had it coming. And more of that, please, is what I say. And here on Substack in the comments says, totally agree. Why even bother and waste your time? Save it for something more meaningful. It makes sense. Just get yourself upset about it. Agreed. And it's a delicate balance. And I say this, I've said this before, and it's worth repeating. While I don't think there is anything else to learn about him, and why I can't stand the sound of his voice, and why he literally does turn my stomach, because when I hear him talk, I imagine what he must smell like, what it's like to be near him. It's just nauseating to me. It's a great way, it's a great appetite suppressant, actually. Thinking about him and thinking about being near him is a great appetite suppressant. But anyway, you think I joke, but I'm not. I don't. Oh shit! I lost my train of thought. You do have to pay attention. We can't. While we need to preserve our sanity, you do have to pay attention. So tune into the news. Get your NPR, your New York Times, whatever your jam. Real news. Get your news, with reporting what's going on. Associated Press is another one. It never gets enough applause. I think Associated Press does a banging job. and they do it for next to nothing. It's incredible. I would love to throw more money at them if I could. But NPR, Associated Press, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, even, except for the opinion page. The Guardian, whatever. The Atlantic. But you have to pay attention. You just cannot give him all of your attention. You have to reclaim your life. Reclaiming my time, as Maxine Waters famously said. Reclaiming my time. You have to reclaim your time. This guy has had enough of our time over the past decade. So reclaim your time, but also don't neglect the civic responsibility we have to pay attention. Okay, so basically just stay informed, just don't lose your mind. Let's see. Suzanne Jimenez says, "Hi, George. I do get upset. I just watched Jim Acosta's podcast. He's in Texas at the Daily Detention Center reporting on all the kids that are there. Very sad. Makes you very angry." That's what I mean. I mean, that is staying informed, Suzanne, what you just described. I like Jim. Jim does a good job. What I'm meaning is don't give Trump your time. Like when he has a press conference, why would you watch that? Why would anybody ever watch a Trump press conference now? Why would anybody, honestly, unless it was your job, why would you sit and give an hour and 47 minutes of your life to watching him give a State of the Union speech? It's useless. No. But no, what you're talking about, Suzanne, is different. That's staying informed, and it is upsetting. And also do something nice for yourself. Go see a movie, go get some ice cream, something that you got to do something that feels good. Yeah. I had lunch with a friend today, a very funny, smart, engaging friend. What a gift. Oh, and also I was supposed to go see meet a friend for his, he was having a little birthday dinner for himself with a bunch of people. And he was very nice to invite me. I am so tired. I have overextended myself. And I want to, when I'm done with you guys here, I'm going to finish my piece on this week's watch, the Tudor Black Bay 58, and then publish that on Substack and within the next hour. And then I'm going to take a nap. I am so tired. And I get this way when I overextend myself. I say yes to too many things because I want to be a people pleaser. And I try to be accommodating, and I overdo it. And I finally just I'm at a time in my life where I realize where the walls are and when I hit them. And I just go, you know what? And I texted him a little while ago and I said, buddy, adore you, but I got to bug out for tonight. I overextended myself, and I would love to take you out to dinner to celebrate your big day at another time. I just can't. I don't have it tonight. So that's what I did. He hasn't texted back, so maybe I'm on the shit list, but I was just being honest. Suzanne is going to see the Elvis documentary by Baz Luhrmann. I bet that's going to be interesting. I hope you see it in IMAX. That's something I would actually like to see on an IMAX screen. A couple of comments more here, and then I'm going to go. We need to flip the houses. Oh, for sure. I think the Trump presidency is over if the Democrats win House or ideally if they lose the House, or if Democrats win the House and the Senate, I think the Trump presidency is over. Yeah, even Mike Johnson even said that. Let's see. Louise Claude here says, and get the world's time. I live in the UK, and the amount of time I spend looking about him is insane, George. He's an insidious, noxious weed. Yes, but over in the UK, you guys are showing us here in the US some consequences by arresting people. I would like to see some arrests happening here. So Sarah K said, I just finished a job interview, so exhausted. Yeah, good for you, though. You finished a job interview. Good for you. That's an accomplishment. Go get some rest. Take a nap, something. Watch Gaslight. I watched it last night. It's so good. Oh my God, it's such a good movie. George Cukor was such a great director. He also directed one of my other favorite movies called The Women. Good stuff. Anyway, be good to yourselves. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. And for those of you who are subscribers, a double, triple sexy thank you. for that. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye for now.